I really want you to think of those LLMs as kind of very smart interns. That's kind of how I look at it. They're fast, they're eager, they want to please. They're very talented and they really, really know a lot. But only when they get very clear guidance, they can really then learn and improve and get closer to what you were referring to and what you wanted them to do. So if we give them we give them very vague instructions, they'll probably give us vague results and not really know what we want from them. But if we brief them very, very well, they can really surprise us with what they come up with, and how actually good they can be. But it's really all in the planning and prompting. So a prompt is not like don't want you to think of it like as a magic spell. It's a briefing. It's really like when you're giving like very clear instructions. Like imagine handing a new intern a task, for example. If you just say, write a course description, you'll get something generic or too general or something completely off. But if you describe the goal, tone and audience, like or you can ask them to do the very specific research, for example, or give them the source that you want them to research. You suddenly get work that sounds a lot like you, or that it comes from your own team, because they learn about you and your style and what you're expecting them to do. So the difference isn't really the intelligence of the model, but more it's how clearly you set the expectations when you communicate with the model. So now I want you to kind of show you the structure. We'll actually use also in the breakout rooms and afterwards. So we're going to build our prompts in two steps because that's exactly how you get the model to behave like a really strong intern. So we start simple with RTF, which is basically means role, task, and format. It's just the fastest way to give the model a clear starting point. Think of it like giving your intern a very quick briefing. Short, direct, nothing fancy, very simple. Just enough for them to get going, even if it's not going to be perfect. But it's something to start with to see like what they bring back. So it's really kind of our simplest and fastest structure. So it's really kind of when you don't want them to overthink, you want them to give you something simple. So yes. So this is what you will use on kind of the first iteration. And for the second iteration, we're going to use two different frameworks. And the first one is Risen. And it's kind of, you can look at it as kind of your full brief. You use this when you want the model to really understand the task, like to really understand what you're trying to do and give it as much context as you can, and also what kind of outcome you're expecting. This, for example, you give them a role. So it's the same as before, but now we add instructions, right? Like you're not just an L&D person, you're an L&D strategist at a remote first startup. You give them more context. And in instructions as well. Design onboarding that builds team connection. You give them clear instructions on what you want them to do. These pieces and the steps and the end goal and the narrowing, all of these pieces tell the model not only what to do, but also how to think, how to do it, why it matters, and what are the things that it should avoid from bringing back. So this is kind of the moment where your intern stops guessing, and it kind of gives them the whole picture. It tells them the purpose, the structure, the process, and the constraints. So, like when you give an LLM constraints, it knows better kind of what not to do, not to hallucinate, for example, or give you like answers that you did not ask for, which happens a lot of times when you prompt LLMs. And a lot of people are complaining about this. It's like, oh, it's too long, or it's irrelevant, or it's telling me things are not necessarily true. So like the more constraints you give it, the better results you will get. Another framework that I like using is kind of when you choose when the purpose, you choose this when the purpose and audience really matter. It's great for like in moments where you need something polished or strategic, and kind of the goal tells the model what success really looks like in this case. So create a high engaged onboarding concept. So like this is what like a good outcome is. A role sets the expert lens. So it's like this is the role you have. You can, of course, be more specific, like L&D strategist that works in this and this company or with these and these companies, etc. An audience kind of more tunes the tone, kind of like, okay, this is the audience this is for, so speak their language. Deliverable defines kind of the shape of the output, like don't give me like 10 ideas. I want three, I want five. Like make it like a specific way that I want to present it. So this is how I want to get it. And evaluation tells the model how you will judge the result. So basically like giving it extra instructions on how successful will look like and how you will decide whether it's good enough or isn't. So it really is kind of like the closest thing to giving your intern a creative brief. It tells them the destination and how they will be measured. So you could also use this one for your version 2 prompt if you want a strong outcome-focused answer and have a very consistent tone and like focus on the audience. So it's really good for some L&D purposes, I would say. So how do we know if our prompt is good? So there are a lot of sometimes it's a hunch, right? Like a lot of the times it's just like, okay, I feel this is good. Like I'm reading this and I know it's good. And I'm not gonna tell you there's always you're gonna know exactly. Um, or it's always gonna give you like the best result, right? But you ask yourself, is the output clear? And is it more relevant than the first iteration I had? Did the model understand my tone and purpose? And does the result sound usable right away? You're really kind of starting with clarity. And does the second version give the model a clearer picture? And does the output sound something like you would really write? And this is something you would really make. And if not, you can also keep prompting and ask again. Or you know what, you for this thing you didn't do what I asked, etc., etc. So, but it gives you like more like clear kind of things to look at. Oh, a second, sorry, my daughter just came in the room. Um, and yeah, so really like it's kind of like is in the end, is it something usable? Is it something I can really use? Or is it something like which one do I prefer? Yeah, so this is basically it. And now I will let Petra take it from here.
Thank you. Let me share the screen again. Here we go. Okay. So this was the overview of the frameworks we will be using during today in the groups. And you can always come to the Miro board if you want to refresh what was said when you are in the breakout rooms. And what we also want to refresh right now with you is the case study. So we will be applying today what we are doing on an actual case study. And this will be now introduced by Supriya. So Supriya, please go ahead.
Thank you. Thanks, Petra. So, yeah, with all the learnings that we have had over the last two frameworks from Rotem, we are now going to be straight away applying it hands on to find a solution as a strategist for a fictional company, Fictiona Tech. Nice one. And which is a SaaS company, as you might have seen in the challenge brief. And they have a very niche problem around onboarding new people onto their teams, right? So while their onboarding is today covered with all glossy presentations and policies and whatnot in terms of ways of working, it still lacks a few core components that actually gets people ready to do their day-to-day jobs, which is like there has been say a customer escalation or a client call that a new person should be handling. What is it that he or she can expect? What is it that they need to be prepared with? Or how do they basically go about it? That's kind of still a question, and there has been kind of bats and hits around this. And there's another scenario as well that's running in this company, where it's like the product delivery deadlines are being kind of hallucinated. People don't really hit the product deliverables, and there is a lot of chaos in there. Now, what is in it for the onboarding? So the onboarding team there, or as an onboarding strategist to support the teams there, you are up for coming up with simulations that are AI powered, that can actually help these new joiners go through a series of kind of talks or conversations or handling that scenario more on a simulated way as part of their onboarding scenario and onboarding series. So this will then let them get more job ready, so that they can do their role more concisely, and they can avoid these things coming up on flaring up again as part of the company's thing. So this is what is our challenge going to be now. This is going to be to reimagine the onboarding that's currently happening at Fictionatech. And we are going to be picking, the choice is yours, of course, in your groups, to pick one of the two scenarios that has been outlaid on the Miro as well. So you can either simulate the, kind of the scenario of where there is a frustrated client or a customer kind of, blasting things off, and how, as a new joiner, what parameters are to be considered for me to kind of, help in support and handle that conversation more professionally. Or it could be another, kind of the other scenario is a point of escalation, where the team or the person has missed a product deadline, and how they are able to kind of handle it, again sharing the rationale behind it, what has actually gone topsy-turvy, or things that they can speak about more vocally. So the challenge is to feed your LLMs with a more concisely built prompt based on the framework that Rotem just walked us through, in regards to coming up with a solution for either of these problems in terms of a simulated solution, right? So that's what is going to be the challenge for us for the next 2 hours, 1.5 hours, close to, where we are going to be first breaking out into groups and trying it out with the first style of prompts. We'll see how that narrates, what the LLM comes up for us with, and then we go into the second round, where we reiterate on specific parameters and make it a bit more glossy. So at the end of the day, as Petra mentioned, the objective for us is to walk away with a very well iterated prompt that actually gives us a simulated scenario that we can then go happily to give it to Fictionatech to try out for their onboarders, so that they can have a very well productive path forward. That's the case study that we are going to be into. Any questions, any clarifications? I will also share the Notion page just in
I
case.
did already. It's in the chat,
Okay,
yeah.
cool. Amazing. So that would give you more details as well if you want to refresh during your breakouts in terms of specific parameters around the challenge or the scenarios. That's all in there in one single document for you guys to go after. Any questions in the meantime, put them on the chat, and I'm here to answer as well. Over to you, Petra.
Yes. Yeah, if there are any questions, feel free to ask. But I can also assure you that we will be there with you. So we will be kind of mingling between the groups and observing